we expect from you in terms of new lines of funding and new partnerships for the bank in the long and short term?
Our traditional provider of funding has always been the government, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, the Central Bank of Nigeria, and our development partners, the various state governments, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, with which we have the cassava flour initiative and all that. So we are looking at the various partners. Well, in addition to that, we're also exploring the possibility of funding from international development finance institutions. We are about wrapping up a $100 million funding line of credit from the African Development Bank. But beyond that, we also intend to explore lines from other institutions globally.
Now, 4 months since you took on this position, and one of the things you mentioned is that you're looking at strengthening your operations in order to become more globally competitive. So what are some of the new initiatives we can expect?
What we're trying to do is to adopt global best practices in a number of areas to make us a better development finance institution. So we're looking at governance, we're looking at compliance culture, we're looking at our risk management practices. So now we have an enterprise risk management framework. We are in the process of getting our first credit rating as an institution. We are in the process of getting ISO certified. So there's a lot of things that's happening along the line of global best practice.
Now, the Bank of Industry is aligning itself with the government's Industrial Revolution Plan. So what are some of the new initiatives you're putting in place in this area?
Actually, we've started to introduce some of the initiatives into the market. I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we launched the Cottage Agro-Processing Fund, which is designed to support small-scale industrialists that want to leverage on Nigeria's rich agricultural resources. The whole idea is to process, the various agri-products that come from the various smallholder farms, into food products or even intermediate raw materials for industry. We believe that's an area where we can make the most impact. The impact can be national because there are products in every state of this country. As a matter of fact, we've identified 3 products as priority products for each of the state governments, and this is an area where we're seeking to make significant impacts.
But what are the bank's plans in the energy sector specifically?
Okay, in the energy sector, we've actually done quite a bit. We are the managing agent for the CBN Power and Aviation Intervention Fund, under which we financed several energy projects. Things like power plants, both captive power plant and independent power plant, and so on and so forth. So we've helped to increase capacity from about 400 megawatts to almost 900 megawatts. So that's a contribution that we made in the power sector. Now, we're working with the Central Bank of Nigeria to now focus more on the gas infrastructure, to ensure that the power plants get sufficient gas to be able to generate electricity.
What are your plans when it comes to SME funding in the coming years?
We plan to introduce what we call a youth entrepreneurship scheme, which will be more open in nature. So it's not going to be restricted to just agri. It's going to cover ICT, because there's a lot of innovation that's happening in the ICT area. It's going to cover, other things like, furniture making, all various, all types of ventures, that our young, population would like to be engaged in.
Now, a significant part of SME funding needs in Nigeria comes from the north. Now, given the situation in that region, what are the Bank of Industry's plans?
Actually, BOI has been quite up and doing, in this area. Today, we are in partnership with about 18 state governments on the SME financing. So we've actually gone into an agreement whereby we have a matching fund arrangement. So the state government brings X million, and BOI, matches it with X million, and so we have 2X. So we have 18 state governments that have come on board, and efforts are going on to ensure that this is actually nationwide.
Now, 4 months down the line, what are some of the radical changes we can expect from you at the Bank of Industry?
Up to now, we made a number of equity investments, but those equity investments were not made under any kind of structure. We're going to put a structure to that. So we are trying to develop a venture capital vehicle. Again, this will address the ICT innovation that is, I think, is more or less catching on now. Now we have a lot of hubs. The other 2 weeks ago, that was the Demo Africa event at which I spoke. So we have, Nigerians are coming up with a lot of innovative ideas that requires, a little bit of funding to nurture, and we believe that venture capital vehicle will assist in that area.
What is your timeline for these new projects?
Well, definitely, it's something that must be live next year.